If you like what you see, please subscribe and like James's channel. Also, don't forget to click the bell icon so you'll be notified of future train videos.
Well, if you haven't seen it, welcome to the brand new JLWII 2000 studio space. The move is all complete, and today we're taking a look at something else that's pretty new. There's a newer manufacturer on the scene, Arrowhead models, and they've recently released the 2494 cubic foot gondola. There are a couple different variations here we're going to take a look at in CSX and HO scale, of course. So let's get started on the look and review of these Arrowhead models starting right now. Well, I will tell you guys, you are in for a treat, because not only do we have a new turntable, it's larger, a new scale, a new studio set all together, we also have the ability to test curves with this sturdy Bachmann Easy Track wheel to check if the rolling stock and locomotives can handle 18 or 22 inch curves, and all sorts of tests that we've had before, like the pull test, the coupler height test. But another new one for locomotives is the actual slow speed test to see how the speedometer says it's going in scale miles an hour. But back to these Arrowhead 2494 cubic foot gondolas. We're going to go ahead and open the box so you can see what you get. So this is the unboxing right now. It's like a little hard shell, some soft plastic, and out comes the gondola. No paperwork, you know, and I kind of like that. I wish companies would be more simple, because a lot of modelers like me that are porters, probably should be seen by a head doctor, have so many items that it's hard to put all the paperwork back in every item. So just like that, you've got the gondola here from Arrowhead models. So let's take a look at what it looks like up close. All right, before we get too much into this car, I want to go over some basic features that are actually set apart from anything we've seen on the market yet. There is a lot of brass construction in this car, brass parts, 34 brass parts to be exact, but one of the most predominant is going to be your side sheeting here. This is brass, which means you can hammer, chisel it away, really, make dents in it, things like that you couldn't do with plastic without burning it and doing some crazy things. The other thing you'll see right off the bat is the road number, but with this, there's also the weight limits below. Now that is per car. So what Arrowhead models did is they took this road number that ends in 48, and they found the load limit on that based on the research and pictures, and that is on this car, because a lot of different cars, you may not realize, have different load limits. So it's the first time we've seen that in a model. And with that said, now we can kind of start over on the details. Here's a side view with the step ladders, separately applied grabs again. And I'm going to try to zoom in on the load limits so you can see those are per the actual car number. So for the first time in rolling stock history, that has been done. All of that print is clear and legible under magnification, but if you blow it up to 1080p on your screen or on your TV, you can probably see that from here. Wanted to give you a good look at the RailGon logo here as well. Also crisp print. You don't see any bleed of the paint in between the black and yellow lines. Grab irons on the end where the step ladders are nice and evenly applied. Don't appear to be crooked or anything like that. And you've got this end detail as well with KD metal couplers on the car for coupling. On the bottom, you'll see accurate cross sections for I-beam and C-channel cross members, and then all of the airline detail as well. On the underside, you can see how much detail has been added to this car with Arrowhead models. Now what that does is that those separately applied details provides that distinction between the floor and those areas. So it gives that real nice three-dimensional depth that you can see from here. and it's really making it a realistic looking car. You also have top detail like the wind drop lock 1613 tie downs. And you can see all of those areas there for securing the load in the gondola here. If you look right here on the edge of the car, very, very tiny, but you can see properly spaced, appropriate dimensioned fastener holes for the load as well. And that runs all the length of the car as it is on the prototype. A quick look inside will show you the separation of panels there on the floor of the gondola as well. And one thing I wanted to mention that we really didn't talk about was the air reservoir and all of the under detail like the brake rigging. But these are added with brass parts. The panels, or the attachments I should say, for these parts are brass. So this is basically a brass hybrid piece of rolling stock, which you don't see. From this angle, it shows just the depth of the model, including even the tie-down loops right there. So, I mean, they just went to unusually high amounts of detail because Arrowhead Models is run by somebody that's very passionate about the actual cars. So there you have the RailGon in all its glory. I covered some of the things on this car, but I am not knowledgeable enough to cover all of them. There's just so much dimension, things I missed, like here's a better look at the coupler cut lever, but you also have the brake line hose that hangs down right next to the coupler there. Just really, really nice detail on this car, and you can tell that a lot of effort was put into it, even for people like me that don't know as much about the cars as the super passionate guys. You can tell this car is set apart in terms of detail. Now, all of the versions I'll be showing you are CSX versions in some way. These are, the RailGon was a patched, but this one is an actual CSX schemed version. I'm just going to do a 360 for you because we already talked about what differences there are, like the lightweight and load limit details are different for the cars, so you can see that already as the one we just looked at. This one is 19,000 or 192,400 pounds on the load limit. The other one was 192,900, so that verifies that they're doing that, because I do like to check their claims from time to time on all manufacturers and all items. But yeah, just the beauty of this car. I can tell my turntable is already going to be a fingerprint magnet, but the car is very beautiful. Last scheme I want to show you, very similar to the first scheme I showed you, but as you can see, the CSXT is in yellow on that one. This one, CSXT, is in white. And again, different load limits on and light weights on these cars. So give you a once 360, and then we'll get into the actual testing of the car and see how it holds up to NMRA standards and some of my review standards. So this is the first time you will see the new review testing of cars, but we simply put them on the track. Typically I'll do this off camera. And the first test is just, is it free rolling? And it's very free rolling. Second test is body wobble. And I'm not seeing any body wobble there, so it's staying pretty sturdy. One thing I didn't mention is the wheels. They are 0.088 inch fine scale wheel sets, which sometimes can have issues with track that isn't perfect, track that might have some issues. So they will replace those with the standard wheel sets that are 0.110 inch if you ask for that from Arrowheads for their direct customers. This is a new test. This is what I call the 18-inch radius test. So we're just going to run this car on 18-inch Bachmann Easy Track. It's very sturdy. And we'll see if it will stay on 18-inch or if it has a larger minimum radius. Because a lot of people ask me, even though the suggested radius is X, will it run on 18-inch radius. So we'll check that next. All right, 18-inch sturdy Bachmann Easy Track here. It does track on 18-inch curves. I cannot say whether, you know, more than one is going to cause a problem or not, but you can technically operate it on 18-inch curves. Wheel sets have come off once or twice, so I'll just say my recommendation is 20 inches or greater, but be sure to check the manufacturer's website for what they usually suggest. Sometimes they don't do so on rolling stock, so my suggestion would be 20 or greater. All right, you have a nice clear look at the coupler here as we check coupler height with the NMRA compliance. This is the KD coupler height checker. If you're wondering what tool that is, it does look high on that end, and looks like it may need some adjustment as it's angling down slightly. And on this end, it is spot on, as you can see there. All right, just checking another car, because the other one I tested off camera was on point, and these two appear on point as well. So it looks like only one out of the 6 couplers is too high. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do the NMRA test. Now this car is a little over 7 and 11/32 inches long. So the NMRA says that it should be 1 ounce plus 1/2 ounce per inch of car in HO. So this should be at least 4.5 ounces, but gondolas usually don't follow that because there's no way to add weight to that level. And sure enough, right, what we have here is 2.5 ounces or 2.4 ounces. So that is the weight of this car. Now, you're not going to be able to get that weight without adding a load, and I think the NMRA standards really don't apply to gondolas because it's so hard to add that. Last test we're going to do is the wheel sets here with the NMRA gauge, and so far they are all engaged, so that tells you that they're working and they shouldn't catch on any frogs or anything like that. When you have out of gauge wheel sets, you have a lot of problems in model railroading operations. Wanted to give you a good look at the trucks. A little hard to see here, but trucks have a nice detail as well with those metal wheels that create a nice free rolling car. Well, that's going to wrap up the look of the Arrowhead RailGon cars or gondolas. These are 2494 Greenville versions of these gondolas and highly accurate model replicas, not just models in this case. The NMRA compliance was good, the exception of one coupler being a little high and the weight, but that's obviously going to happen in gondolas and you're not going to be able to get the weight you need on there. There's no body wobble, it can navigate 18-inch curves, and if you want the other wheel sets and you bought directly from Arrowhead, you can do so. Next release is coming up directly from Arrowhead Models, so I'll put their website below. I picked these up from Lombard Hobbies. They were very gracious and quick to assist me getting this review done, so appreciate those folks at Lombard helping out. I'm going to leave you with no run by because we are in basically a setup here, but just the detail of these models is great. You have no layout for a while, and just so many things we couldn't even mention, like you can see through here. The brake chain detail, it's just amazing all the things you can find on camera. And you know, when your camera's having a hard time showing the detail, there's a lot of detail to be seen. So I suggest if you're a modeler that would pick these up in the 80s era or greater, go ahead, I think is when they ran, and go ahead and pick those up from arrowheadmodels.com and see for yourself so you can see all the detail for yourself. That said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time right here on my channel. Take care.